Omniaje, umejiuliza we, hakuna haja kunyamaza kimya na wajiumiza mwenyewe. Usinyamaze, ongea.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another day, another episode of great discussions around issues that are affecting our community in West Pokot County. And the biggest issue right now is gender-based violence. And today we have a guest of ours. And before the guest, I want to introduce myself and remind people that I'm still your host, that guy, Jeff. You can call me Jefferson Mudaki. But today we have this beautiful lady who is also a very good friend of mine. And we have actually worked together for a very long time. And has actually been recognized a lot.
Thank you so much. My name is Domtila, Chesang. I'm a frontline and a grassroots advocate for the rights of girls and women. I'm a Pokot from the Pokot community, West Pokot County. I founded IREP Foundation. IREP is a shortened version of I Am Responsible Foundation. We focus on issues of gender-based violences, narrowing it down to FGM, child marriages, abduction, and of course other forms of gender-based violences.
What motivated you to, start, helping women and girls in this particular community?
Yeah, so I started campaigning against FGM since I was in high school. Mm-hmm. But it's not until when I completed my university studies that I started active campaigns on FGM and gender-based violences. So for me, talking about FGM is a very personal issue because being born and brought up in this community, I have had first-hand experience in FGM because most female members of my family have had FGM.
Yes.
My younger sister had FGM. I am not a survivor. I am lucky. I did not go through FGM, but this wasn't obvious. I was just lucky by chance to escape FGM. Yeah. So the fact that I have been in this space for a long time is because I saw what FGM does to women. Oh. I saw what FGM has done to girls from my community, including my own sister and other relatives of mine. Yeah. So when I was growing up, I knew FGM was something that all women had to go through. Mm-hmm. So I was so much looking forward to the time I will be cut. Mm-hmm. You can imagine. Mm-hmm. I was excited because as a young girl, nobody shows you what FGM entails. Nobody exposes you to the experiences, to the procedures of FGM. All they show you as a young girl is the excitement that comes with it. The attention, the celebration, the party, merry and stuff like that. Yeah. Nobody shows you the actual cutting. So we were looking forward to the time we will drink soda, by the way, because
so when the cut is happening, it's like a party.
The attention you are given, my friend, you dress in, all these regalia.
And
so you're
like
wearing this beautiful.
You look beautiful.
But this is not for FGM. I have to distance that. This is my identity as a Pokot woman. Yeah, very true. And so it was all about, celebrating this woman, celebrating their bravery. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to be celebrated. So when I was about 11 years old, I was a cheeky young girl. Uh-huh. So we sneaked into the actual cutting phase or the space where they were doing the cut. Mm-hmm. In the Pokot community, it's done in 2 stages.
Where is that, this particular?
It's done in the homestead, maybe in the cowshed, but there are 2 stages. Mm-hmm. So besides the merry and the dance and the celebrations, of course, when the day comes, when the girl is now supposed to be cut, there are 2 stages or there are 2 phases. So the first stage or the first phase is done in a public forum. Yes, people are there, men are there, women are there. Girls come out of from the river, and then they come to the public space, and then exposing their bodies to everybody to see. And then the first stage is done. That is like the actual cut, but that is, I won't call it a slight cut, but it's more of demonstrating the cut. Uh-huh. And this is maybe the cutting of the clitoris, partial or total cutting of the clitoris, but that was just all that we saw as young girls.
Very true.
So nobody tells you what happens after that. Uh-huh. And in most cases, you're not expected to scream or to cry.
You need to be
the girls, yes,
the men are told to be morons, and then
for a girl, in fact, your dad will be standing, beside where the ceremony is happening, the cutting is happening, and some two men will be holding spears. So not a single girl is expected to cry or to scream or to just show any fear or anything. Yeah. So the girls will, after this the cut, the girls will just start dancing, and then they'll be smiling. So we thought that was it. Yeah, sure. So, but this particular time, I sneaked into the second stage. That's what I was talking about. And then I saw it all, and that made me change my mind, because I saw the actual cutting. And if anybody didn't know this, the Pokot community practice the type 3 of FGM, which is known or considered to be the most severe type of FGM. This is infibulation. And this includes the cutting of the clitoris, the labia minora and labia majora, and repositioning. So I saw it all. I will not go into the details, but that also made me change my mind and the whole picture of FGM. And I started asking questions. And the first person I talked to was... At that time you were 11. Yes, 11, 12 years old. I cannot be so sure. But it should be, because normally girls who are cut in this community are between the ages of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 there. Yeah, sure. So I'm pretty sure I was around 11, 12, 13 there. Not older than 13 years old. Yeah, sure. Yes. And the first person I spoke to was my mom. I challenged. I just asked her why. Why? Why does it have to happen? Because it was, that scene that I witnessed is something I never want to wish it on anyone else, because it was so traumatizing, and I could not, understand why. Yeah, sure. You get, a girl is being pinned down and all her genitals are being cut. Yeah, sure. And she's screaming, helplessly, and women are pinning her down. And the traumatizing of this, the men standing with the spears, and the men on the other side. This is not the second stage. Yeah. It's only the women who have had FGM. Yeah, sure. Yes, not young girls. I was only lucky to witness that scene, because I sneaked in and the women were drunk. They didn't notice me, but so I was disturbed because I knew I was next. So I just told my mom, I need to understand. I did not have the same conversation as I'm having now. Very but true. As a young girl, I just started to ask, why? Is it necessary? My mom said, no, it's not necessary. So, but then I realized that time the boys were started to be taken to hospitals to have the male circumcision, but in hospital. But there was no FGM happening in the hospitals. Yeah, sure. So that was the first thing that I wanted to know. Because my mom did not give me a convincing answer. So I told my mom, listen, if it must happen to me, then I would love to have mine happen in the hospital. Wow. That was a challenge. Yes. That was a hell of a question. Yes, because I knew that at the hospital, there must be something you'll be given. You not feel the pain. Yeah, sure. It was about the pain for me. But I was not convinced. So you were a sharp girl. No, like understanding that, the painkillers and... I think it wasn't really about... that, but it was more of like what I witnessed. Very true. Because I wanted to escape that. So I convinced my mom, and then I went to Ortum Girls Boarding Primary School, which was one of the best boarding primary school, public primary schools around this place at that time. So, and that is how I managed to escape. And I always call it or say I ran away from that. Yeah, very true. But now how I started this journey is, of course, coming back home, you cannot be alone. You need friends. Very so true. I started kind of mobilizing my friends, inciting them or influencing them to say no to it, because I didn't want to be seen as an outcast to the community. So that is how I started the conversion, slowly like that. But of course, not very actively. As a young girl, you can only do so much. Yeah, sure. And then when I went to high school, of course, I did well, and I went to Tata Girls High School. And luckily, I must say this, because I'm proud of it. Very true. Please. It's your story. It's your story. Being smart in school enabled me to even escape FGM. Wow. Because I realized I could do well in my academics. Yeah. So that already became like my path. Yeah. So I was like, what's the point? I don't want that. I want this. This is where you're focusing your energy on. Yeah, and being in school and being in a public school where there are other girls from other communities convinced me that, okay, right. So there are other people from the country. From the country that are not. I didn't know that, by the way. I knew it was only the Pokot community. I didn't know there were other people outside the Pokot community. I grew up in a village. Kwenye najua tu ni sisi. So that exposed me to, I met other girls from other tribes, and nobody talked about FGM in school. So I was like, okay, fine. If I'm safe in school, then I'll rather do this.
Yeah, sure.
So by performing well in school, that also helped me to focus on my academics. I did not want to become I did not look forward to becoming a wife or, getting married.
Yeah.
So luckily also my mother did not pressure me or
Into,
anybody from my family, did not
sure.
convince me to go through FGM.
Very true.
But I later on came to realize that my mother was against FGM, but she didn't speak about it, which was the mistake that she did.
She
and that's why
yes,
she did not like FGM because if she had spoken out, my sister would not have had FGM.
Very true.
So, and that is how I slowly started to understand FGM. First of all, I had to inform myself, and then when I went to the university, I came back and I started to join local groups, speaking to girls, more of doing mentorship. I even formed a group of professionals from my village, and I didn't go very far. And then by the time I was in university, I was already volunteering with some local organization at Ortum, my former primary school. So I was their first girl or their first product of a girl who had not had FGM.
Wow.
So we will be meeting girls over holidays and discussing FGM with them. By the time I was graduating, Jeff, I must tell you that I had already discovered my passion and I discovered my purpose. So I did not want to be confined in a classroom. This is what I wanted to do because I knew that my contribution will have more impact at the community level.
And here you are, HSC, Domtila Chesang. That is amazing. For somebody who is not, conversant of West Pokot, looking at the current scenario, in terms of which areas. I've seen you go to Masol, I've seen you go to those areas of Takwel, I've seen you go to those areas of almost Uganda, just championing for this. What is the face of, the county when you talk about harmful traditional practices?
So you have to believe me first when I tell you that FGM is still very much with us. Yeah. Because FGM is prevalence in West Pokot County is estimated at 74%.
74?
Yes, 74%. But that is just the general statistics. Yeah. And but if you go further into the remote villages, FGM, we still have places where FGM is still as high as 100%. So FGM is still very prevalent in West Pokot County. This is because, most people who are actively participating in the campaigns to eradicate FGM have not gone further into the remote villages. Yeah, sure. That is where FGM is happening. And one of the things that is still contributing to FGM prevalence is the fact that there are still very high levels of illiteracy in this community.
In this particular county.
So ignorance is a contributing factor. Yeah. To FGM. I mean, the community do FGM because of ignorance. People don't know that FGM is harmful. They are doing it because it's a cultural practice, and they are doing it because it's a rite of passage, a transition from childhood to adulthood. But the fact that we still have places without schools, where kids don't go to school, so you can expect that community or that village not to have any girl say from FGM. For example, I give you an example of Masol, where we work, Kotulpo village, where there is no school, girls don't go to school. So all this tells you that the FGM picture in this community is that, it's still an issue that we must tackle. People need to come out and talk about FGM. We need to start addressing FGM as an issue that is very well with us. Because if we keep on talking about, so much has been done about FGM, very little has been done about FGM. Because we need more efforts, we need more resources, we need more attention and focus, but more so at the grassroots level. Yes.
Watu waingie mashinani.
Yes.
That is the message.
True.
Wow, that is crazy.
That's
like I know the reality is different from what people think, and we're in the same country. Yeah. Where CBC is now is now rolled out, and there are no schools in Kotulpo.
Not just Kotulpo, but there are so many other places where there are no kids don't go to school.
Literacy levels are,
and that's what we have done. I have done post under IREP Foundation championing. So what we do is try as much as possible to bridge the gap, to bring more children to school, to advocate for the education of the girl child. That's one of the approaches we use. So far I have over 100 girls that I'm directly supporting. Majority of them are in high school and some are still in primary school. And besides that, we've also created safe spaces because for survivors for girls who are at risk. So I've gone back to my former primary school where I was hosted and negotiated with them, and now they've allowed me to have a program there. So that is already doubling up as a rescue center.
A rescue center.
Yes.
What can you tell the government?
The government needs to invest in girls because, of course, girls and women, they are the largest population. So it's very important for the government to understand, first of all, that FGM is still highly prevalent. The government, and especially political leaders, these are the guys who have the influence, they have the power, they have the resources. I want to tell them today that put your money where your mouths are.
Very true. For those that are following us, please leave your comments and let us ensure that this conversation is going on in every platform. You can use hashtag #FGM and you can tag Domtila
Domtila or IRE Foundation.
Domtila Chesang.
Yes.
On all social media platforms.
Yes.
And IRE Foundation
Twitter,
also.
Facebook.
Yeah,
you can also check us up on our website, IRE Foundation. Twitter, IRE Foundation. Facebook, IRE Foundation.
Thank you. And don't forget to tag the VRC in all this conversation and ensure that we continue these discussions.